upcoming election, policies that are coming out left and right, and pop culture. Those are the things that we're going to be talking about today on the 180 Shift podcast. My name is Tara.
My name's Ellie.
And we are so glad to have you here tonight with us, whether you're on X or Instagram,
YouTube.
Yeah. By the way, we're getting so hardcore shadow banned on Instagram. Have you noticed that?
Yes, I've been seeing that. Like I think left and right, even on TikTok, I feel like.
Oh,
where
TikTok
we have, in the past gotten amazing views.
Yeah.
We'll post things, see them like almost go viral, and then all of a sudden,
well,
I go silent.
The banning on TikTok happened way before the banning on Instagram, the shadow banning, that is.
Yeah.
But I mean, China's usually ahead of stuff, so I'm not that surprised. But Instagram has been pretty surprising. If you ever tune into us live on Instagram, you'll notice we have like one viewer, even though we have 9,000 followers.
Right.
Our stories get like almost nothing. We are so clearly being shadow banned, many conservatives. Well, and frankly, not even just conservatives, but people who just
wants to share truth.
Well, people who just don't want to follow, some of the recent push that we're seeing. So speaking of which, it's just Ellie and I tonight. So we were gonna pull up some different media
stuff
to
talk about.
But before we do that,
got a bunch of stuff, and of course, we got to start with our
Bon Boba.
Yeah.
Tea House. Oh, we love them so much.
Yes.
What a highlight to my week, getting Bon Boba.
I know.
I mean, this is
my favorite thing ever. I got it twice in a row this week.
We should really just rebrand this podcast to be Boba ASMR and
just start
talking on the side.
No, just compilation of just us stabbing it. Mm-hmm. We just need that video. I got a new flavor today.
Goodness, this one is so good. What is this? Cookies and cream?
Yeah, I got vanilla, so I don't know how this is going to taste.
Amazing. Okay. Ellie, would you like to start off anything before we dive into some of these videos and media that we're going to go over today?
That tastes good. Sorry.
It's
my first time trying this flavor, so.
I hear that, though.
That's really good, actually.
So what's been on your radar this week?
Oh, okay. So I did go speak at an event. It was a town hall. I need to pull this up because I forget what it was called.
Well,
okay. Well, I don't know the name of it, but that's okay. I went to a blue collar town hall hosted by CHA, which is hopefully I'm not butchering this, but it's California Hispanic Alliance. So it's a nonpartisan organization that hosts different town halls, different things, different candidates, so different forums, and just all sorts of people, right? And of course, I had the lovely privilege to speak for a few minutes, and it was really fun to do that. Obviously, I'm usually one of the youngest people in the room, or the youngest actually.
Yes, by decades.
Yes.
Literally decades.
Seriously. So it was really cool to bring a perspective. Somebody did come up to me after and said, hey, thank you so much for speaking to us, because sometimes we shy away from speaking to the younger generation, but you give me confidence to talk and have dialogue with people who are younger, which is something that I really strive to do. I really want all generations to feel welcome to talk to us, and they all have some great wisdom. Obviously we don't agree with everything, but I think the wisdom that they have gained from years of experience in life, it's so valuable. Life stories are amazing.
For me, they say you say shy away from the Gen Z, but honestly I think they just can't reach them because Gen Z doesn't care.
Exactly.
Gen Z does not care. It is so rare for us, Ellie. It is so rare for you to spend your free time trying to get involved with the cultural impact.
Well, it's true, but I think I was also specifically talking about the young people in their life, the ones that they have access to, right?
Yes.
Nieces or nephews, sons, daughters,
that's the thing.
Grandchildren.
All of those people, they have grandkids, they have kids who are
they all know somebody.
Yeah, and we all know that Gen Z is the most swayed politically. I mean, they're they constantly they're like a flag on the line. Yeah, because and I relate to that. I remember during the BLM riots, I had moments of oh my gosh, I don't want to be racist, but also at the same time, why is my city being burned down?
Right, having those
Why are
conversations.
people getting killed over this?
I think most people our age are more actually, we have different questions. I think we know how to ask questions well.
Yeah.
But that's something that I was talking to them about, and it was a really good thing. I was able to tell them, like, hey, actually 44% of Gen Z is actually independent.
Yeah.
So and they were all like super shocked, and people were writing this down. So it was a really great experience to bring this to, you know, the older generation.
Well, and what was interesting.
No, I don't mean to cut you off.
That's fine.
But I will announce this at the very end of the meeting. But I just wanted to like bring this up before we get started. We are going to an event this Sunday. To a community leaders in San Fernando Valley. They have a bilingual political forum happening at 2 p.m. to 6 p.m. at the San Fernando American Legion Post 176. That's in San Fernando on Pico Street. So we're going to be doing that again from 2 p.m. to 6 p.m. and we will be there and doing some stuff. So we're listed as a special guest. So if you guys want to come check this out, there is going to be a pre-recorded video from presidential candidate RFK Jr. So that should be a very interesting thing. So it's going to be really cool. We're having a bunch of different people on there. So it's going to be exciting to see.
Fantastic.
And it is a bilingual forum. So it's going to be a great event. I saw that a lot of the speakers were also, of course, bilingual, Hispanic. So that'll be a very interesting conversation to have. And I'm excited for that.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So, okay, so we'll dive into some different media now. So first off, we have this video of a Minnesota woman who was jailed for 3 months for disobeying Tim Waz's tyrannical lockdowns. Now, if you've watched us last week, you know I like to call him Tim Waz because he's a Waz bag. But we're going to watch this video now. Okay.
COVID happened. And in the state of Minnesota...
Can we turn it up a bit?
My business is located in the state of Minnesota, southern Minnesota. It was a lovely wine and it had been in operation for going on 8 years by the time that my business was shut down and destroyed. And when I say it was destroyed, I'm speaking of the...
We're working on turning it up right now, but basically she's talking about how during the lockdowns, the whole essential business versus non-essential business. So... we all saw it. We all saw it. You had mom and pop restaurants getting shut down, bars, liquor stores staying open. You had
we had those very interesting thing, which is like who gets to decide what's essential and what's not essential.
Yeah, small businesses getting shut down. Meanwhile, strip clubs and Walmart get to be scot-free because everybody knows you can't get COVID at Walmart. So so this woman is basically she's going to discuss basically what happened to her business and pretty crazy story. And this is under Tim Waz bag. Let's see if we got the volume up on this.
Governor Tim Walz and Attorney General Keith Ellison did to me and to my business, as well as our employees. And so what happened is with the first shutdown, we didn't really know what to do, what was going on, and we did comply. And I hate to say that, looking back at everything I've stood for, but we did comply because we didn't know what else to do. He never fully opened up the state, to point this out. Who did he shut down? Governor Walz shut down only some of the businesses. The essential businesses got to stay open. So I guess that means that we were a non-essential business, but so he shut down bars, restaurants, gyms, dance studios, hair salons, etc. Who did he not shut down? Who were the essential business owners? That would have been your big box stores with hundreds and hundreds of people coming to visit through their doors a day, mingling and being close. He did not shut down liquor stores. He did not shut down strip clubs. So think about the contrast there. He shut down a lot of the mom and pop shops, those folks that were just trying to make a living and provide a great product and a great service. In contrast, he allowed big box stores, et cetera, to stay open. Really incredible, an incredible use of tyranny against the people. So we opened up. I can't tell you for sure how long we were open, but immediately within 24 to 48 hours, the state came down on us with a vengeance. They attacked me, a woman, small business owner, as well as other small business owners in the state of Minnesota. They came down. They sent the health department down. They sent everything they could against us. They employed all of their resources against we the people. I went to court. I was found guilty.
Wow.
Was precipitated and
the older generation.
By the
that was painful.
You got to go all the way to the top. That'd be Tim Walz and Attorney General Keith Ellison. I was given sentenced to 90 days, which was the max sentencing, and I was also fined $1,000, which was the max fine for this supposed thing that I did, where I was standing on my rights and totally protected by the Constitution of the United States of America. But when you have rogue judges, rogue government, attorney general, et cetera, they're all in lockstep with each other, it doesn't go very well for the people. And this is what we need to be standing against. And this is the story that America needs to know. This is the story that America needs to hear. That Tim Walz is not some cuddly, joyful, coach-like, all the things that the MSMs are calling him, or some of the things that they're calling him. That is not who this man is. This man would like to take your rights away. He will take your rights away, because what happened to me could have happened to anybody. What happened to...
No.
They're calling him. That is not who this man is. This man would like to take your rights away. He will take your rights away, because what happened to me could have happened to anybody. What happened to me will happen to you if we don't get things turned around in our country.
Okay, so basically, she's saying that Tim Walz is this crazy new concept called a communist, and he will take your rights away. If anyone here lived in California, we know we saw the same thing with Governor Newsom. So it sounds like he's just another one of those.
Well, this is very interesting. Again, I really did not know much about Tim Walz. Like ever before. I have never heard of him, like, actually. So this is very interesting to hear. You know, that was the same thing that he implemented over there. Mm-hmm. Doesn't sound very fun at all. So
well, anyway, I guess so last week we had a young woman on our show, Gen Z, a few years younger than me. She, you know what, the passion that she had for Kamala Harris and Tim Walz, the love and the excitement that she had over them, I hate to say it, but it was kind of inspiring. It was kind of inspiring.
Really?
You know what I love about America? Is the passion that the people have to keep it going.
That's true.
And whether or not you're on the right or the left, that passion, it needs to exist in order for this country to function. I mean, you know, just anyone, go, if you have like an hour, go just read through the Federalist Papers with a dictionary in your other hand and read about why this government is working the way it is. And it really is because of molasses, like the concept of molasses. It's like people's passion makes them go head to head. And then that's why certain things like, okay, when everybody was in agreement about slavery, it like slipped through being emancipated. And then in order to avoid that, they literally had to like separate themselves. The South had to separate themselves off from the country. It's because when people don't agree on stuff, policies, they go through the government like molasses. If we cannot agree on stuff, they just don't, nothing happens of them. Versus if everyone is in agreement that this is wrong, like slavery, it'll slip through. And then you'll have to cut yourself off from the United States government. So it is this beautiful thing about our country. And you look at a founding father like Washington, who kind of reminds me of like 2016 Trump, because he's like all revolutionary. He doesn't believe in, he doesn't really believe in parties. He believes in a new nation. Just very, hard worker, good leader. And then you have now 2024 Trump, who reminds me more of Jefferson, who was very small government, very Republican. Everything had to be small government. He did not believe in big government at all. So it's like history repeats itself in a lot of ways, especially with these politicians. So it's just fascinating to watch. That being said, though, there's a lot of stuff like what this woman is talking about where it's just pure corruption. And I think that's what turns a lot of people off to Kamala is, people say, okay, there's a possibility that she will attempt to reform the judicial branch of the United States government. Doing so if successfully, would be corrupt. And I don't even understand why she would do that. Like, it's more diverse than it's ever been. But they're just not passing the things that are on the agenda list. Mm-hmm. You could call it the Obama agenda list, you know. Pushing for abortion, pushing for, you know, these long-term depopulation things, pushing for communism through romanticizing languages such as, like, Medicare for all, healthcare for all. Well, we know that's not really what it looks like, you know. But anyway, just kind of going on my soapbox there. What do you think about it, Ellie? What do you think about what this woman was talking about?
Well, I think it was a very interesting time, COVID. It was definitely a push for government to see where they could, what rights they could violate and get away with, right? So it was a pretty interesting experiment. Whether it was planned or not, we can always, like, you know, argue about that. But it is very interesting to see, like, it was definitely a very much an experiment to see how far they could go in pushing things and see how much the people would tolerate.
Yeah, it's civil rights versus unalienable rights. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so, you know, I love this book, Lucifer's Zenith, because he really breaks down what exactly was wronged during COVID. How exactly our rights were basically taken away from us. And there was a lot of corruption in it. So that's the unfortunate part. And I mean, we've been seeing such a huge social media push for Kamala. It's like kind of cringy at this point. It's like, oh, let me call up Nicki Minaj, like, randomly, like, totally unstaged. And then she calls up Nicki Minaj and it's like multicam. So it's so obviously not a surprise call.
I'm talking to a few other Gen Zers to see their opinions, and, you know, different people that disagree with me and agree with me on different issues, right? And, you know, it's very interesting. They were talking about, like, how they do find Kamala, like, very a little appalling, because they really don't like her. Oh, it's just not.
Who doesn't like her?
Gen Z. It's quite
I have noticed the opposite.
And you know what? I've actually talked to a lot of my friends, and you know, with a lot of them with different, you know, political standings, and they've been saying, like, no, she's just not it. She's really trying too hard, and it's become way too, like, she's acting as if we are super dumb. Well, you know that one video that we were talking about?
Yeah.
That one video that we showed about what she said about Gen Z.
Gen Z is so dumb.
Yeah, that one. So, you know, I don't think.
So what we're seeing,
I don't really think that a lot of us are liking it.
No, I feel that, dude. So what we're seeing play out, though, someone told me the other day, like, a mentor of mine was like, so what Marxism is oppressed versus oppressor, and I was like, that's Trump versus Kamala. If you look at the narrative, Trump being the white man oppressor. Mm-hmm. Kamala being the oppressed black woman, half black woman, or whatever she is. I don't know, light skin. So it's interesting because Marxism, with that ideology, someone will always be oppressed. Mm-hmm. Like, we were talking about the BLM riots, you know. I don't want to be racist. I don't care what anybody says, okay? But oftentimes when I talk about race or when I talk about certain political issues, I feel exposed as a white girl. I just feel like I'm under a lab light. And it's like, oh, white girl, watch your mouth, white girl. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Yeah. And it's just like, wait, I don't want to be racist. I don't want to be a bad guy. But the truth is, I'm not racist. Mm-hmm. And but that's that whole oppressor versus oppressed ideology that is Marxism. And so I guess we'll see if that ideology is strong enough to win this election. Now, the other thing, too, is, I know we talked about this, last week as well. Gen Z, like, the likelihood of them actually going and voting and participating in the voting process is kind of low. I mean, they could surprise us, you know, especially since it's like, you know,
they're a huge voting bloc, actually, which is
bigger than millennial.
I'm not sure if it's bigger than millennial, but we're going to become, like, one of the biggest, obviously. So we are going to be very, very big.
Yeah,
and
we'll
very
be the biggest
instrumental.
At some point. Yeah, just very, maybe not. I didn't know right now, though.
We are very instrumental.
That's good to know.
That's why a lot, like, you'll see a lot of things are being aimed at Gen Z more often than millennials now. Actually, there's some millennials now saying that they feel left out. that they now feel like they're the ones being left out instead of Gen Z. So it's kind of like a very interesting flip that we've seen.
They're being the one that's left out. That's funny. Well, every time I think of millennials, I just think of those like TikToks and stuff where it's like a 30-year-old mom and they're like, oh, like I'm going to tell you the 10 essentials for being a mom. And so it's like...
It actually says that there's 41 million members of Gen Z will be eligible to vote in 2024 this year.
Wait, can you say that again?
41 million members of Gen Z will be eligible to vote.
And will they vote? We shall see. We shall see. Upcoming election near you, happening near you.
More than 8 million youth who needed to be engaged will have reached voting age in 2024. Yeah. Since the 2022 midterms. That's interesting. Yeah.
So, okay. So that's pretty interesting. So now we talked about Kamala a little bit. Yeah. Let's talk about Trump. Let's see what Trump's up to. So this has been my favorite thing I'm seeing is the Amish for Trump. It's been like, I don't know, just the Amish culture in general just seems like...
Well, they're very not engaged in society. There's a lot of different roles depending on what like group of the Amish you're part of. So it's very interesting to see that they actually are engaging with the outside world and actually
I love that image.
Deciding to get involved in politics, which is something you don't normally see. They're not ones to do that.
Now, what makes you think that they're supporting Trump? Why would they support Trump if you had to guess?
Oh my goodness, that's such a good question. You know what?
Is it because they have traditional values? Is it because they think that Megan Thee Stallion is blasphemous?
Well, you know what? I don't even think they know who Megan Thee Stallion is. That's the thing. They really don't. They're not. Most of them don't even have social media or media in general, right? A lot of them are like totally off the grid. Some of them have like other things that they use like electricity, but
I dig that.
It's just depending on where you're from. But the Amish are very interesting people. Have you searched them up? Like I've searched them up. They're really cool though. They know how to make stuff, which is good.
Like search them up in general.
Yeah, done research on them.
So we easily.
There's
good old Trumpo. Okay. So I'm gonna pull up another video here in a second, but. Maybe it is the traditional values, It
could possibly be. Yeah.
This other thing too is that this whole thing about abortion. She's been doing like a whole push.
Yeah, that's her number one like campaign.
Why do you think that is? Why do you think she's reviving abortion
I think it's
from the grave?
Well, that's because
no pun intended.
Well, you know what? Abortion it's always been a very big hot button issue. And so picking a hot button issue is, of course, going to attract a lot of attention. But also the fact that we had Roe versus Wade overturned, and people do not like that, or at least some people don't, right? I remember hearing some people saying that they were crying in classrooms that this was happening.
Gross, cringe, stop crying.
Well, you know
Take your crocodile tears.
You know what? I don't even, I think that it's a lie being told to women, and that's why women who are in the classroom, so teens, are worried about this because they think that a right's been stolen from them, right?
Gross.
So,
sorry, ladies. Sorry, they can't sleep around whenever you want.
Well, you know what? These are...
Sorry, it's just gross.
I know,
I say this because I was that girl. And I hate to say that.
I know, but like putting yourself in their shoes, they really don't know it's wrong. Well, I think they do. Each person has...
They don't know murder is wrong?
Well...
They think murder is justified.
They think it's justified, right?
So there's this whole, just a quick tangent here. Yeah. There's this whole thing of depopulation, right?
Yeah. Oh, that's a big, yeah.
So you have people who are like, oh, we need abortion because of freedom. And you have people like my grandma, rest her soul, God rest her soul, who said, you need abortion because the population is getting too big.
It's not getting too big.
First of all, I want to say, have you guys ever driven through like Utah? Or like most of Arizona,
Texas, even driving through California.
People, you're even like depopulation. Where?
Yeah, like you drive through like Central California. There's like nothing. And
overpopulation.
Then, driving to New Mexico, like that I just did like a couple weeks ago. Yeah, it's just like
you just go through
nothing,
miles and miles and miles of no
absolutely
people,
nothing.
No city. So what they're really referring to is overpopulation in major cities.
Yes,
this is because they don't want to spread out their enterprise. Chase does not want to put its industries in the middle of nowhere, but they could go be pioneers and explore unterritoried land. Why don't they?
I think it's very interesting. I really don't. It's so dumb that they overpopulated us. Like, stop doing this. There used to be things as like suburban areas, and now we just have.
So there's two things that are being pushed for the sake of freedom and self-expression and yada, yada, yada. I'm a dummy. Oh, sorry. No, I'm just kidding. Okay, so another one is the trans stuff. So go ahead, children, castrate yourselves. It doesn't matter if you're male or female. Go ahead and castrate yourselves. And now you will do this for freedom of self-expression, to find who you really are, or whatever, or who you meant to be. Anyway, with that too, it's like, if you think about it, is that linked to depopulation as well?
You know what? I would go on a limb and say probably. I mean, if we see a lot of the things that they have today, there's a lot of things based around that you could say in some way may lead to depopulation.
Yeah, so women, sleep around, get abortions. Sleep around so that you don't complain. We're going to do that thing where we we're going to do that thing. Oh, sorry, guys, we're getting some comments. Do you ladies have an office, brick and mortar, or real estate? Can you elaborate, Vita Velez? Not sure what you're talking about. Anyway, so, yeah.
Can I see who it is?
Okay. So, women, go sleep around and then get abortions. Men and women, go castrate yourself so that you can be happy and not want to kill yourself. Okay, so those are the different messages. I believe they are both aimed towards depopulation.
Okay.
Why do I believe this? Because it's obvious. It's obvious. The statistics of abortion regret and detransitioner, aka transitioning regret, are too high for anyone to tell me that is a solution to mental health or bettering your lives. I've met women who literally sob when they think about their abortion. They're like, what the heck was I thinking? What was I thinking?
Yeah.
And then I know detransitioners who are like, I was lied to. I was lied to. And now I destroyed myself. Do humans get 9 lives too? Okay, so here's an interesting thing. This ties into the whole depopulation thing, and it is assisted suicide.
Oh.
Thank you, Canada.
Yeah,
man, what is up with Canada?
I did hear about that. I saw that that was happening in Canada actually a while ago. I think my mom brought this up to me a while ago.
So let's
just before it was kind of like a popular thing that people were actually starting to notice, and I don't even think people are still.
It's icky.
I really don't think there's enough people aware about this.
It's so very icky. Okay, we're gonna pull up this video.
Last breaths are sacred. When I imagine my final days, I see bubbles.
She sees bubbles.
I see the ocean. I see music. Even now, as I seek help to end my life, there is still so much beauty. You just have to be brave enough to see it.
Okay, gag me with a spoon, please.
Well,
don't ever romanticize suicide. You are evil if you do this.
Yeah.
You're pure evil. The devil wants you to terminate yourself.
This is honestly one of the most craziest things, because we've seen, obviously, people always talk about how suicide is such a bad thing, and now we have assisted suicide, which is like glorifying it and I guess doing it. I don't know. It's really not morally correct, in my opinion, at all. And it's really saddening. I mean, I did see a video at TikTok now. Instagram. I don't have TikTok. It's an Instagram reel of this girl, videoing her last days of before she went to go
get assisted suicide.
I'm
sorry. What? What? And did you notice what were their values in the video? Beauty.
Yeah.
Beauty. I want to go look at the pretty jellyfish. I want to look at the pretty whales.
You know what? I think it's like a romanticizing of it.
Who's your god? Oh, your god is Earth.
Well, like I'm saying, it's a romanticizing. It's romanticizing what's happening.
I'm so sick and tired of that.
In reality, it's a very sad thing that somebody wants to end their life, and to purposefully come.
So,
to that end.
As someone who's been close with people who have ended their lives, both with drugs and committing suicide, guess what? There's nothing romantic about it.
No.
It's just the end. Now everybody around you is sad and traumatized.
Yeah,
and what did you get out of it?
It is.
You might have lost your chance for eternal life.
It's very, very sad reality, and I have my heart breaks for those people. that they felt like that was the only way out. You know?
Only way out of what, bro?
I know, but
only
it is
way
still,
out of what?
I would still have a lot of compassion for these people.
I'm starting to have zero compassion.
You know what? I used to be like that. But then I realized...
No. People enjoy fetishizing their own sadness. Mm-hmm. They fetishize it. They go, woe is me. I'm going to go on my last breath.
The thing is,
go see the ocean.
Taking it from a Christian perspective and looking that somebody's choosing to do this instead of... or trying to play God in their own life. It's a very sad thing. Something we have to have compassion for these people and seek them out, reach out to them, and make sure that they hear the gospel, right? So
somebody, you know what? Somebody told me.
Yeah, I definitely do recommend for anybody who is watching who does have trouble, go to a local church or get some help with all of your friends and family, because that's a very tough issue.
An anonymous person the other day told me that she was thinking about suicide. Mm-hmm. And then I just went, first of all, I was like, God, why are you putting me in this position again? Mm-hmm. I was in this position. The person died. And that was it. And I just heard God say, just ask her what her value is. Say, so I just said, well, what is your highest value? And and she was like, what? And then I was like, just what's your highest value? And she was like, oh, and then she said something that she feels that gives her purpose. And then it was just like, oh, okay. So yeah, I agree with you in that sense. Sorry to cut you off there, Ellie. I get really triggered about that kind of stuff.
I know. It's a tough thing for you. I know.
Because it's just like, I tried so hard to be nice and gentle, mm-hmm. and please don't do this to yourself. We love you so much. I really tried, and it's just like they said in this grief group I went to, it's like that person would have ended themselves anyway. Mm-hmm. Like it was gonna happen, and I think that's what a lot of people in that situation have to tell themselves, because it's like, it's too painful to try and think about what could have been. But anyway, right. I'm going to go on a tangent now.
No, it's all right. It's all right. Oh, so, switching topics.
No. I'm just pulling up the next link. Do you have anything else to say on that? I'm just so triggered. I'm just going to drink my bowl.
No, it's okay. No, I totally get that it is a sensitive issue for a lot of people. I think that there's many people who have had that being touched in their life, and I think it's a very terrible thing that it is being sort of romanticized. And I've seen this romanticization of certain things throughout all of Gen Z, and not even just Gen Z, I think millennials as well have started romanticizing different parts of their life to get through it. It's one thing that I know that our generations love to do recently. It's a very popular thing to do. I've seen like cozy workouts, right?
Yeah.
And that's a romanticization of working out, right? You get the mood lights on, you get your comfy PJs on.
Yeah.
You got some mood music in the back, and everything's like set to be a cozy atmosphere. So you're romanticizing exercise, which is nothing bad about that, because it's getting you to get up and work and make a better version of yourself, right? Continuing to grow. But I've noticed this romanticization about everything. And of course, there's always too far. Where we see things like that's happening in Canada, and we're seeing those ads starting to pop up. So
it's just the assisted suicide thing is just not. That's just not it. Mm-hmm. Just not it. So there's this other thing. It's called assisted. End of, what is it called?
Dying with Dignity, Canada.
Yeah. So this is another thing, and it's like, if you're really old or you're in pain or you have like really painful cancer and you're gonna die anyway.
Okay.
Which we're all gonna die anyway. You can get assisted dying. Oh.
Yeah. This is very common, I think, with elderly too. Yeah.
I know that if they didn't pass this in Colorado, they were like really close to it. So what we do, ensuring access to quality of end life choice and care through advocacy, education, and support. Now, this is interesting because it's like, okay, you have a story of someone down here meeting Judith Rockert before her medically assisted death. On Friday, June 17, 2022, Judith Rockert invited 3 staff members and 1 camera person from Dying with Dignity Canada into her Toronto home for an intimate conversation about her choice to access medical assistance in dying. MAID. That's what they call it. MAID.
Very interesting name.
This blog post describes the experience from the perspectives of those staff members and probably her too. So this woman seems like she can function. I'm not exactly... I'm not positive. I'm not going to click on the link and figure out why she did this. But I also believe that this is pretty disturbing too. I know that there are people who would argue with that and say, no. We need to be able to let people end their life when they want to, and we need to help them with that so that it doesn't get messy. Kind of the same thing you hear for abortion.
Yeah, that's the same argument actually.
Yeah, right? It's like you have to help them with abortion. Otherwise, they're going to abort it themselves and they could die. And it's like, or in this case, you have to help them with it because their death might be messy. So we're going to help them die.
Wasn't there a science fiction movie about this?
I don't know. There's so many movies out there now.
There's so many science fiction movies that are literally too close to reality.
Okay, here's another one. She's 47, anorexic, and wants help dying. Canada will soon allow it. Terrifying. I think this is a slippery slope. There are probably some people who are on the fence with this, I can see why this would be good. Nobody should be forced to live. But then, in California, in the United States, if you try and commit suicide, you will get arrested. So 5150. It's a crime. Mm-hmm. So there are legal limitations on it, but it is a slippery slope to not just, if you start saying, oh, this person has cancer, so we need to help them with their death, then it's then why?
It's a very interesting thing, specifically with this case about the woman who's anorexic.
Yeah.
Instead of helping her and maybe turning her life for the better and having the best life she's ever had.
Nothing has helped, she says.
Right, but the thing is instead of actually taking this, okay, let's see what the actual problem is, because I'm sure they actually haven't addressed the root cause.
Yeah.
Right? So finding that this is where you get very special help. And I mean, maybe she's tried all she thinks she can, but there's never I think there's always another way to get help,
Yeah. Instead of
it's never going to be a one-way thing. I think there's sometimes we find ourselves in a place where we think there's only these amount of choices and that's it.
Yeah.
And after this, there's no more. Right?
Yeah.
So we trap ourselves in this little box and thinking. So, I think that instead of that, people should be getting help. And this is another thing. If you have mental issues, mental health is such a big thing. And I think there's so many people who are aware of mental health and helping people that it should be an automatic thing to go for help.
I think what's so scary to me is the normalization of assisted suicide. Because it's already you're trying to normalize something that is so unholy, so satanic, and whether or not it's in the eyes of depopulation or in the eyes of trying to give people as many rights and freedoms as they can over their life, I think it's sick and I think it's harmful. So we had the Elon Musk Trump thing earlier, that was fascinating. And Elon is someone who's so interesting. He says 2 things that really stick in my brain. One of them, and I'd love to hear your thoughts on both of them. One of them is that, like we've said, there is no overpopulation. There's underpopulation.
Yeah, we're seeing that. We're seeing now, a lot of people. I don't know how. I do not have the stats on this, but I know that there's a lot of countries who are now paying people to have children because they are not having enough. Their population's declining, right?
Yeah,
and it's declining at alarming rates.
And Elon would know, dude. That guy's smart. Yeah. And then the second thing he said was, when they transitioned one of my children, they killed him. They killed him. So what are your thoughts on that?
That's a very interesting thing. Yeah. I actually haven't watched that.
He didn't say that today.
Okay, he didn't say that today.
The thing, the thing that happened today that was interesting was Twitter got hacked and their stream ended.
Oh, wow.
Which was fascinating. Wow. Elon owns Twitter and he still owns it, right? Does he still own it? And somebody hacked into it because they did not want that Trump-Elon thing to be seen because it had 1 billion live viewers. Oh, my goodness. So, it's kind of, that's a brighter side of things. We don't have to talk about overpopulation
anymore. Okay, let's
move
on to the next topic,
which is Ellie. Would you like to introduce attachment theory?
Okay, so he will probably get into attachment theory, which is something that I've been studying. Even when I was talking to one of my friends about this, and then he's like, "This sounds like you've written a scientific paper on this," and I'm like, "Oh, okay." Which no, I have not. But I've actually been reading about it, and I've discovered this. I first learned about it, through random YouTube videos and stumbling upon it and being like, this is an interesting thing to learn about. But there's something that I've also, to learn more about it.
The day you get your...
to learn more about it, I found the book that explains a little bit more in detail what attachment theory is. And it's called Attached, the New Science of Adult Attachment Theory, probably. I'm trying to get the full...
So wait, what is attachment theory?
Attachment and how it affects our adult relationships. Mm-hmm. So attachment theory, I'm sure he'll probably explain it so much more better, but it's taking our experiences with life, usually our childhood, and taking that and sort of like analyzing it, mm-hmm. and understanding how your childhood and those events around it has affected your attachment style when it comes to adult relationships, right?
Can I just say too that we were talking about mental health crisis, mm-hmm. and now the suicide crisis,
right?
And think about how many people this concept could save if they knew about it and they acted on it.
Well, it's a very interesting thing because this mostly talks about like romantic relationships, although it could transition to like regular friendships, because this also helps in understanding your communication style and how you receive affection, right? And how like what the other person needs to feel affection, right? So each person has their own emotional needs that need to be met, and there's 3 different attachment styles. There's an anxious, or at least there's 3 that are named in the book that I'm currently getting through. Anxious attachment, an avoidance attachment, or a secure one.
Okay.
So usually secure, it's kind of like you had all the emotional needs met for you. So you come into a relationship being a very secure person. You know who you are. You know what you want, mm-hmm. right? It's somebody who's a little bit more mature and set. And none of these are like, this one's bad, this one's good. It's not presented to you in that manner.
Yeah.
Although people, I'm sure, could assign like one's bad, one's good, more than others. But there's also an anxious one. Anxious one, it maybe have felt abandoned at one point, had a little bit of abandonment issues. So you'll see people who are clingy sometimes, right? Who are a little bit anxious, who need constant affirmations, right? Mm-hmm. Reaffirmations about your relationship, how you two are, second guessing everything, thinking about the relationship constantly. And the avoidant are usually ones who want emotion, but they can't handle it. It's almost a scary thing because it leads to heartache, right? Avoidants are the ones that were during childhood were emotionally neglected in a way. So, and it doesn't mean that the parents were bad. It's just they weren't given the emotional attention that they needed. Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
So, like, sometimes parents will be off having a career, right? Usually nowadays, 2 parents are now out of the household, and they have very little time to pay attention to their children. Mm-hmm. And this is leading to avoidant people who weren't taught how to self-regulate their emotions, right? And to know that emotions are okay. And sometimes parents have told these children that you need to go be sad in your room. You can be sad, but just go to your room, okay? Not in front of us. It's not okay to show us your emotions. There's some parents who are like that are leading to avoidant behavior. No. And usually avoidants are known to be those people who sleep around and don't have committed relationships. They're afraid of commitment, again, because it causes hurt.
Can I just say, too, that think about how many of these kids who grew up in a house with both parents just at work,
mm-hmm.
Daycare, public school, and that these are some of the Gen Z kids that are having the highest suicide rates.
Exactly, and they don't know how to handle with sharing their emotions, right? Yeah. So when it comes to having like a relationship with a partner, a potential partner, they are not open with sharing what they personally need emotionally, leading with a communication barrier, right?
Yeah.
Meaning that relationship will no longer be able to foster into a beautiful relationship because they are not communicating what they need. They wait to the point of boiling and don't don't fix it.
Well, there's another side of that too, you know, like I'm not going to sit here and say my marriage is perfect, you know, like you know, sometimes I will say to my husband like, oh, like I'm too tired to clean this house right now. And he will say like, what? Like, I'm tired too. Like, you need to help me with this. You need to like put your emotions aside and help me and step up. He will say that kind of stuff to me. And so it's tempting to blow up or to say, oh, you know what, this guy is bad, I need to like cut him off, you know, so I can like be happy. It is tempting, but that's the struggle of marriage, right? And so there's also sacrifices you need to make where that person will not receive when you say you're emotionally upset. And
this is actually very interesting, because if you know what attachment style you are going into a relationship and your partner is, it helps with knowing your emotional needs and where you're going to need to sacrifice for the other person. And that's why it's so important to actually know what these are. And again, it's a theory.
I don't know how many people do that when they're falling in love.
I know. It's definitely a theory, of course, but it does have a lot of scientific backing for it. And I'm by no means an expert, but let's watch this guy talk a little bit about what's going on. Usually avoidants are actually men.
Oh my goodness, wait, hang on something.
Yeah.
Manuk just said, kids nowadays are way too soft. Gen Zs are softies. Bring back bullying and make our children stronger.
Oh my goodness.
Oh my goodness.
Wow. Well, I don't know if bullying necessarily is the thing to it, but I will say that having a tough sort of almost,
suck it up, kid.
Almost like that sort of thing towards children. I mean, not like you know what we need? Less coddling.
Well, less
coddling.
Can I just say something really quickly? Because now that connected the thing I was trying to say earlier. When people come to you and they're all suicidal, we always want to be like, call the suicide hotline, or no, you're like beautiful, don't kill yourself. And as someone who went through someone that I love killing themselves, it was like, it didn't matter what I said. So I could sit there and coddle them, which is what I feel like society tells us to do. But at the end of the day, like, I don't believe that coddling is the solution to trying to get someone to not commit suicide. Because that's, especially since we're seeing those spikes so much. Yep. But anyway, quick tangent. Okay, now we're going to watch the video.
Let's go back into watching stuff.
You are crying or you're upset about something, and your parent is largely non-responsive. They are not really responsive or caretaking of your emotional upsetness, of your distress. And as a child, that can feel a whole bunch of ways. But what it teaches that child is essentially my emotions, my emotional experience doesn't matter to the people that are around me. My emotional experience doesn't matter to the people around me, or it's not safe for me to trust my emotional experience with the people around me. So in these cases, the child learns that showing any type of vulnerability, seeking any kind of comfort during hardship, right? So just note some of these things as I'm going through, because if this is like pinging with you, these are parts of the things that are going to help you get the hell out of this avoidant territory.
Okay, so we have a comment that says, I grew up with one parent family. It was just me and my mom. Knowing I was going to get bullied, I had to make myself stronger. So I have a question, Manuk. So what struggles did you face emotionally growing up in that environment? I'd be interested if you're willing to share that. Because I do believe there are different roles. Like, I feel like this guy's speaking very generally, but like I know for my household, I am very overly, like I said on the, a few weeks ago with Echo Mike, I am very like sensitive with my son, and my daughter both.
Yeah.
Like when Anthony will fall or my son will fall, my husband will be like, oh, just get up. That was just a scratch. You're fine. And let's say he gets really like incoherent and crying and freaking out and everything. And then Ray's like, what? Like, just get up. It's not a big deal. As his father, I think that's somewhat appropriate to like, I mean, obviously you want to be emotional with them sometimes when it's necessary, but like, you don't want to be so coddling. But with me, it was like, oh, I know he's freaking out because he's embarrassed and he's having this emotional battle. So I go up to him and I'm like overly sensitive, and suddenly he's not crying anymore because he feels understood, So I think there's different roles in there that are that are positive.
Yeah. I also think it's also I think also a big thing that plays into that is also your role as a child and your siblings. I think that plays a big part into how you also are,
Manuk said,
responding. What does he say?
Manuk said, I cry when I watch The Notebook.
Oh my goodness.
But I had to be a tough
guy.
What? You and me both, Manuk. Okay. All right. Let's see the next one. So we have another major origin point. My experience doesn't matter.
Next, number 2 is the encouragement to be prematurely independent.
Yeah, that's a very big one.
Or situations that sort of thrust you as a kid into premature independence. So sometimes caregivers will encourage their children to be excessively independent at a very, very young age, asking them to contribute around the household, asking them to take on adult-like tasks, which can cause that child to be put into a more adult orientation long before they are able to. And so the secure attachment with the caregiver, with the adult, doesn't actually have time to form or set, and you're being asked to take on something much bigger than you. The analogy that I like here is, imagine pouring the foundation of a house and the concrete hasn't actually set yet, and you're starting to try and build the frame on top of that. It's going to create all types of challenges as you...
Yeah, so we basically get what he's saying.
Right. Now, do you have, is there a portion in there, I'm not sure if you can see in the little things where
about rejection?
About. Well, one thing I want to see is there one on talking about enmeshment, which is something we were talking about with Echo Mike, which was the, okay, probably not, but that's okay. I have a little article right here talking about enmeshment.
Okay,
so what happens, okay, we were talking about how there's toxic motherhood, right?
Yeah.
Where mothers will be sort of stifling their children, particularly men, and not allowing them to be real men, right? And there's some interesting things to this. So this kind of ties into what we were talking about there. So according to Psychological Association, the definition of enmeshment, which is what I'm talking about, is a condition in which 2 or more people, typically family members, are involved in each other's activities and personal relationships to an excessive degree. So this sometimes happens when a parent is not getting the emotional needs met by the other parent. This is usually seen within a mother and a son, sometimes daughter relationship, and there's some sort of enmeshment going on, right? So it's becoming to an excessive degree, right? Because you should not be emotionally regulating your parents' emotions. That should be something emotionally, between a mother and a father, right?
Yeah.
So we're starting to see, so there's these things that we're seeing where boundaries between these 2 people are sort of blurred.
Yeah.
Some people sort of say it's like kind of almost like a boyfriend-girlfriend relationship between parent and
it's
child.
Just like overly codependent, right?
Overly codependent. And this basically
toxically
right, toxically. And this is like gets very harmful when you try to get into a relationship with that person who's being enmeshed with their parent, because that parent is attached to that child and that child attached to the mother, right? Not allowing, like, let's say if it's a man, he must leave his parents, right, to come and cleave it to his wife. And this would not allow for that, because the number one woman in his life would be his mother, right?
Yeah.
In this situation. So it allows for a very toxic relationship and not room for a wife to come in. But, it's a very interesting thing.
It's also, this is also very, very average. Very average.
Yeah.
Like the amount of people in America that are struggling with this and gone past this, and it's like a lot,
Yeah.
So it's like, it's good to know about it. It's good to apply it to your children. But there's also ways to, going back to Gen Z, and just the problems that they're dealing with. How they're being like lured into the Kamala Waz campaign on romantic language, like, freedom and rights and all that kind of stuff. But it's like no, that's toxic,
Yeah, but I think that this actually quite ties in very well to what we were talking about with Echo Mike, how sometimes there are relationships that prevent you from actually being able to spread your wings and go find a partner.
Okay, what should we do with that then? Cut them off?
You cut them off? Well, I think that that's when you need to move out, create a firm boundary, so you're able to then go out and have a partner, right? Because if not, you're not allowed. You can't.
Not everybody's like able to move out,
No, but then this is where you need to be very firm, understanding you need to first call out the problem to then be able to fix it.
Yeah.
Because if you don't know there's a problem, how are you able to address it?
Oh my gosh, I was gonna talk about my mother-in-law, but she might be watching. So I love you, mother-in-law. Okay, I wanted to switch over before we wrap up to depopulation and just this thing of abortion, and I just wanted to show anyone who's watching this image that I saw. So I always say that if the woman's belly was translucent, if it was transparent, there would be no debate about abortion, because you would have to see that face and know exactly what you're doing. And so I think this is a message that I really just want to spread, especially since we've seen the recent abortion push. No pun intended. But yeah, just this thing of really what is happening here. And this is something to say, to your friends that were saying, they really feel like they have a freedom that's being taken away from them. Right. Well, my question to them is, what about this little person right here? Mm-hmm. I'm honestly thinking about writing a book that is called "This Is Not About You." This is not about the woman. Mm-hmm. This is not about the woman. I don't care if it was an accident, if it was like, you like mistook your birth control, you just were irresponsible, or in rare cases, there was abuse. There was something really awful that happened. I think if these images get out more and more, that it speaks. An image is worth 1,000 words. Yeah. And I think this image alone, just think about it. If the body was transparent, this would not be a debate. Mm-hmm. This would not be a debate.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to kind of respond with that, to the thing about, just the complete, like, stubbornness that a lot of Gen Z women have about the abortion issue. So, anything wrapping up? Oh, we were going to do some music video stuff.
Oh, wait, that's right.
Okay, so we're going to get into some culture now, and it's going to be really cringy. Yes. So we're going to start off with, what is this? We just went to like the trending thing and picked out the ones that we noticed.
Okay, well.
Billie Eilish. Okay, so this is Charli XCX and Billie Eilish. For those of you who don't know, Charli XCX is
to it.
Yeah, I think we do. And this is not a clean video. I'm sorry. I'll like try and skip it if it gets weird. Mm-hmm. But so Charli XCX, I remember I used to listen to her a lot back in like 2018 or whatever.
It's funny. I've never heard of her until the Barbie movie came out.
Most people didn't. She was very underground, and she was very much in this like EDM meets alternative meets like hyper punk, like this little mesh of culture.
Right.
My brother likes to call it tranny pedophile music. Wow. I don't know if you've ever heard of Crystal Castles, but they're also kind of like that. Or 100 Gex, and that's another one. It's just like, it sounds like almost like cupcake children's type party music.
Okay.
But the lyrics of it are just about partying, just about like sleeping around. A lot of them are like really pro-LGBT.
She sang the song Speed Drive, which I actually really like that song.
Yeah, she's done a bunch
from the Barbie movie.
She had a hit too. She had a hit like a long time ago, but nobody really seemed to remember her from it.
Yeah.
So here's Billie Eilish, who is very, very, very openly gay now. I hear people still say like, well, she's just queerbaiting. she's just queerbaiting because it gets her more famous. I don't know, man. I have no idea. But here's just a snippet of this, and then we can talk about it.
Your underwear already know what you got going on down there.
You know what? I've seen enough.
You've heard enough.
I've heard enough. What did you think about that?
That's very interesting. It's definitely not like rare at all that there's music like that, but also I really don't like the song.
The thing with
I haven't even heard the song, but it's just like that little bit I just really didn't like.
The thing that makes me sad about Billie Eilish is when she became famous. I was actually living in Highland Park at the time, and I remember it was like everyone I knew there was like, oh my gosh, I went to like band camp with her, and oh my gosh, I went to like this with her. Like I was always like one person away from her because I lived in Highland Park.
Yeah.
And it was just like, I loved how relatable she was in the sense of like going through that awkward teenage girl phase, but wearing like overly.
That's true.
And I was like, wow, it's a pop star who's not a pervert.
Yeah.
This is crazy. But then now look at her. Look, she's going to roll down a hill of bras right now.
Well, Well, you know what? We also did that magazine. Was it the magazine cover of her where she decided to go full out, in a very interesting...
That she looked so uncomfortable in that. It was weird. Here's another one.
What's this?
This is the Birds of a Feather.
Oh, the Birds of a Feather song. Yeah. I think her voice is very pretty, though.
Oh, yeah. No, she's very trained. Yeah, she homeschooled music kid.
Yeah. Although we don't want to get copyrighted.
It's just sad that she's... Oh, yeah, you're going to totally get copyrighted. Okay. You know what, though? I do want to say that Finneas... I still love Finneas. I know he's probably really woke, but just his story of, like, making songs with his sister, being a homeschooled kid... And just the fact that he made it, like, it just almost makes me want to cry. It's like, wow.
Yep.
Yeah.
The Jonas Brothers were also homeschooled. Did you know that?
Oh, yeah. Well, because they were like kid actors, Yeah. They were like on
but also, like, they're singers now, so that's pretty cool.
So should we just read the lyrics on this next one? This is Sabrina Carpenter. So we're just going to probably read the lyrics because, we're going to get totally, like, muted in this part of our video.
Ziva works 24/7.
Yeah, I do like this song.
I honestly don't even pay attention to pop anymore.
Yeah.
No, my sister.
A lot of it's trash. A lot of it's trash. It's fine. Okay, but please, please, please. It's actually a pretty cool one. I think it's a very, it's funny and it's ironic that only I feel that way. Yeah. Okay. So, it's sort of a song where this guy is, she may have had like a few guys that probably weren't the best, right? And it's like choosing, you don't want to make a fool out of yourself, so you're like, please don't mess this up, right? Yeah. So I tell him it's just your culture, and everyone rolls their eyes, right? I think that's probably one of my favorite.
So you like this song?
Favorite ones, yeah.
Oh,
favorite lyric of them.
It's not all woke and crappy.
I don't think so. I mean, I don't know.
Well, that's good.
No, but like it's like I like the line where she says, "Yeah, it's." I tell him it's just your culture, and everyone. This one's a relatable one. So don't bring me to tears when I just did my makeup so nice, right? So it's like just don't mess.
Have you ever heard of waterproof makeup?
Yes.
Anyway, okay, it's 8:25 almost. I think we should wrap up, right?
Maybe.
Well, I'm gonna step out then.
Are you gonna step out? Okay. Well, hi everyone. This is an awkward thing now. Wait, am I gonna do the closing by myself? They're telling me to do the closing by myself. Scary. That's scary. I'm also getting mixed views whether or not to continue on or I don't know. Okay, well, their lyrics. I mean, I don't know what to say to you guys. It's a very, very fun song for me to listen to. I personally like the intro to Please, Please, Please because it sounds super fun. I think it gives you very retro styles, almost like an 80s beginning of the, yes, actually, why am I correcting myself? It's actually like Stranger Things, the beginning of it. Like the intro music is very much reminiscent of the 80s, obviously, and I feel like that the Sabrina Carpenter song, Please, 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 also resembles that, which is very interesting because she's paying attention to the trends that Gen Z is sort of like captured by the 80s a lot, and I think what we refer to as oldies almost, like that time period. So I personally, I mean, if you guys want to take a listen to what I'm talking about, the intro of Please, Please, Please definitely has that, and that's kind of how I like about it. I like the music behind it, but yeah, I think it's a very relatable song for a lot of girls, especially trying to find the one, and then also having other people watch you like a microscope and seeing if this guy's gonna mess up on or not, right? And it sort of talks about like one's ego and how you don't want you don't want to look like a fool. You want this guy to be the one, and you don't want your family or friends to judge you and say you picked somebody wrong, right? So that's sort of like what the messaging of the song is. Though I
might say that anyway. We've been told that. Like, get out of my business.
Right. It's yeah. I do want to say explicit warning. I would recommend listening to the clean version. Although everyone was like, girl, you could have picked like better wording. Like everybody's like, come on, you could have picked something else. But anyways, she made a clean one. So which is really good compared to a lot of other things. But yeah, I was just filling them in on my thoughts of the song.
No, yeah.
Yeah, Sabrina Carpenter was from Girl Meets World. Disney TV show. Yeah, I used to watch that one a little bit. Yeah. I have a friend who met Sabrina Carpenter, which I was very jealous of. Disney is evil. Yeah, well. Yeah. Anyways, okay. So I did want to restate. I do want to restate the. Hold on. The announcement for the event that we're both doing on this Sunday. So that's what's this Sunday, the 17th?
Oh, wait.
No,
the
18th.
We got another comment.
Oh, what's the comment?
First time I got beat up, when I went home and my brother beat me up more, told me to never come home crying. We got to make our children tougher. What do you think about that?
That's interesting. Well, it worked for him, I guess.
No, it did.
I don't know.
That's Manuk.
I don't
you don't want to mess with Manuk.
No, but I don't think you should. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. No. I will say I am not for coddling people, but yeah, that's
well said.
I'm just gonna say that.
I like that.
Anyways, so. August 18th, that's this Sunday. If you're interested, from 2 p.m. to 6 p.m. If you are in the San Fernando Valley, check out this political forum that we will be having. It's a bilingual forum, so there'll be Spanish-speaking people there. There's gonna be some really cool moderators, David Hernandez and Gina Felix Goldman. She's actually Maria Felix's niece, so if you know who that is. And so there will be a video playing that RFK Jr. has recorded for this event, so if you're interested to see what he has to say, come ahead and check this out, and we will be there. So it's going to be at the San Fernando American Legion Post 176, so please come if you want to come and meet us. We would love to meet you guys. We will be there for some time. I'm not sure if we're speaking or not, or if we're going to be there, just there. But we might be speaking. Who knows? But yeah, definitely check us out. We would love to meet you guys. And this seems like a pretty exciting thing. And definitely, if you haven't already, please go back and watch all of our other podcast episodes that we've done in the past. We've had some amazing ones, with... last week we had
Mike and Jocelyn.
Echo Mike and Jocelyn, which was both amazing ones. Yeah. And we do have one that I did record on an off day, which is sure to hopefully be coming out very soon. But that one's going to be with Father Josiah Trenum, I believe is his last name. I can't quite remember, and I apologize if I got that wrong. Sorry, but he's really cool. He's very famous right now, I think, within a lot of young men who are religious, and he talks a lot.
That's awesome.
So he's a really cool guy, and I got a lot of insight for Gen Z for what he has to say.
Awesome. We got a few more comments. Manuk says, "Love you guys. Thank you for all you're doing."
Oh, thank you so much, Manuk.
Thank you. We love what you're doing too, and appreciate you so much. All right.
Okay, let's see.
Go to 180shift.org if you want to find out more about us.
Remember to be nurturing and caring for those around you, guys. Be kind.
And be tough on them, too. Sometimes.
Kind toughness. I don't know.
Kind of tough.
Kind of tough. There you go.
Okay, all right.
We'll catch y'all later. Bye.
Kind